Franklin County Commissioners meeting, March 8th, 2017.
Ready to go. Good morning. It is 9 o'clock on March 8th of 2017. Here for a regular weekly board meeting with all three commissioners, administrator, and our clerk. And we have an audience this morning. And if everybody join me at the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda this morning is opening of 2017 janitorial bids, and it looks like we have two. Both were received in proper time frame. Come up, Jennifer, and we'll get them passed down to you. The first one, I'm just doing the opening the original. The supporting documents are behind me here. This is from Facility Service Group. I'm not familiar where they're from, but well, this is just a bond check. So, that's the first one. It's just the Facility Service Group.
Ready?
Please.
Baseline proposal for 2 days a week, $70,260.85. Baseline proposal for 3 days a week, $97,694.11. Again, that's for the FSG LLC group.
Okay, second and final is from ABM.
Proposal for 2 days a week, baseline amount is $103,071.48. Proposal for 3 days a week, baseline amount is $136,872.84. Again, that's for ABM. That includes all the totals.
Okay, and then you'll have a chance to make sure they're qualified and get back to us next week.
Correct.
Okay. Supporting documents are behind me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jennifer, who are we using now?
We are national.
Okay. And they didn't apply. Is there a reason why they didn't apply? You know what? They just didn't.
No.
Okay.
Did they walk through?
They did. We had 5 companies walk through, and the bids were due yesterday at 4:30. They may not have made the cutoff.
Okay. Thank you. Your second item on the agenda is inter-budget transfer for a grant purchase, and I think Keith is going to take us through this one.
I am. Mr. Blaisdell been called out of town for work, but asked me to fill in. I think the read-ahead material is fairly straightforward. The coroner's office prepared the grant to request documents last year. That grant has been approved. This is for some digital fingerprint equipment that Franklin County, through our coroner's office, would purchase, assuming the board authorizes the budget transfer. The equipment itself are small, about the size of a cell phone type device that make a digital fingerprint for the deceased. It's a much more modern technology and allows the coroner to move faster on the identification of individuals and include that information in databases and places that it would be helpful. The individual devices would be used by some grant sub-recipients, including Grant, Walla Walla counties, Franklin County, Benton County, as well as the shared morgue that Franklin and Benton County operate. There are some additional written agreements that will be in place between those other jurisdictions in Franklin County. These will show up on our inventory list and make sure that we keep track of the actual equipment that they will be utilized by some of these other counties. It was done that way just because of the way the grants are written for this federal forensic science improvement grant done on a multi-county basis. That initiative was created by Dan Blaisdell.
Yeah, Dan's done at least one other one, multi-county over the years, not necessarily for fingerprinters, but
Right.
other items.
So financially, this authorizes his office to spend the money to purchase the equipment, and the grant reimburses Franklin County for
100%.
Exactly.
I guess one question, I guess that's not a concern, but it's coming from our contingency reserve.
Yeah.
But according to the resolution, it's going back into current expense.
Yeah, it was done that way so for this small of an amount not to open up the budget again and create a public hearing that required an extensive process.
Okay.
Felt like this was a better way to handle it from a budgetary standpoint.
Questions?
Keith, on the sub-recipient agreements, I think I would prefer if you were to have those agreements where the ownership could be transferred and those things would be on the inventory of those other counties rather than us trying to maintain accountability for equipment that's not even in our county. I think that is an option to do it that way rather than us keeping them on our books. So I appreciate if we take that approach if we can. And the contingency reserve is not the account that's currently outside fenced from current expense entirely. This is a contingency reserve within current expense.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, no other questions. Move for approval as presented. It's resolution number 2017-59.
And I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Keith. With that, we are into the time of the meeting for public comments. Come to the microphone if we have a comment. Name and address, please.
Morning. Clint Didier, farmer, north of Pasco. Just waiting for your attention so that I can address you. I'd like to make eye contact if I could. Gentlemen, I know I've been rough on you here lately, and I sure hope that Glade Road wasn't completely closed down for retribution against my comments about you giving yourselves a pay increase and voting yourself that, plus taking your health savings account money and transferring it to salary, which now gets you up to about $105,000 to $108,000 a year.
That's not a true story, Clint. You need to talk to HR and they can explain how that breaks down.
Well, regardless,
Yeah.
you've transferred that funds from your health savings account to wherever it goes. I was told it's salary, so I just hope that you guys realize the endangerment you're putting the public into by transferring all the farm equipment. And Brad Casper, that you and I went to school with, and some other people have told me the stories of having to pull completely off the road. I had to move my disc down 68 because of Glade Road being closed the other day. It's 17 foot wide. I had to basically run clear off the shoulder. If you don't see the importance of Glade over Ione, over East Sagemore, over all these other roads that you fixed for safety of our community, then I would question your prioritizing of these other roads and actually the importance of safety in our community. So I just like to say, hey, I'm sorry if I infuriated you to make a bad decision. Please do not put our community at risk. You realize we've had 3 fatal accidents on Road 68 in the past years. This is a major artery, the major artery for all fertilizer trucks, for all farm equipment, and now they're over on 68. And I'm worried about our community. So I ask that you, regardless if you get mad at me, make good, wise decisions for the community. And if you're mad at me, please, let's take it upon ourselves to talk. And don't take it out on the community. So I see they're working on it. I don't know why you won't let any of us to help. I pushed in the canal that's right next to it, encouraged the farmers to use that with their farm equipment and to stay off of Road 68 because I don't want anybody getting killed. That's all I've got to say. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Steve Bauman. I live over off of Road 68 and Road 72. I would like to know I grew up north of Tri-Cities, north of Pasco here, and I would like to know an explanation of why Glade Road's been closed down for 2 weeks. I'm a contractor. I have extensive experience in repairing damages from canals breaking open, from roads being washed out. 2 weeks is not acceptable. You guys come together, you declared a state of emergency, which loosens up funds, which bypasses the normal process. And there's a lot of contractors around this town that would love to have the opportunity and to come fix our roads. And it's simply not acceptable, guys, for Glade Road to be closed down. I've lived here for 36 years. And in 36 years, we've never done anything even remotely close to that. And I would really like to hear is, do you guys have an explanation?
It's a public works engineer, that makes the decisions on. We don't make decisions on what roads are closed.
No, I respect that you don't make a decision on who closes the road. But for one of our 2 main arterials in our county to be closed for over 2 weeks is not acceptable, especially with the damage that's done. To say it's a public works engineer is, I'm sorry, it was a pathetic argument for the damage that was done out there. To give you an idea of experience that I've had in doing repairs, I did a CID irrigation district repair where canal washed out. We had an 80-foot fill, a quarter of a mile long, that we done in 4 days. to contractors. It doesn't take 2 weeks to open Glade Road. It simply doesn't take that long. You went through the process to declare a state of emergency, to loosen up the funds, and Glade Road's closed for 2 weeks. And we're fixing Ione. There's one resident on Ione. He's here. He thinks it's ridiculous as well. What can you expound on that a little bit? I mean, that simply doesn't make sense. That you don't have to go declare a state of emergency to loosen up funds for the county crew to do the fix. So what was that state of emergency for?
I can't answer that. Like I say, I'll have to get together with the engineer and the public works director and get some answers for you. I cannot personally answer that
Okay, so
because I don't make that decision.
you didn't declare the state of emergency
We did declare the state of emergency.
for the county crews to do the work?
Correct.
So it was for their overtime, or what was the purpose of the state of emergency?
To expedite the bid process.
The county crew does not bid to do the county's work.
It bids for material. It bids for gravel, material, outside labor if needed.
I've looked into this, and I don't know exactly what your state of emergency was, but it circumvents that process. It makes it so you call and you say, bring me gravel, and you figure out the price afterwards. Is that incorrect? Am I misunderstanding?
No, that's the idea of it.
Okay. So, my crew, I have a small crew, in 1 day could fix the area between Dogwood and Cedar that's had that road shut down and do it properly. I have the experience, and there's 20 other contractors within an hour's driving distance that could do the same thing. Guys, this is our livelihood. This is our county. This is the main road. Is that not understood? It doesn't seem like there's any understanding that, we're fixing a gravel road with a single resident over a road that has thousands of vehicles a day. Does that seem to you to be...
Like I say, I can't answer those questions. I'd have to
why
spend
not?
some time with the engineer and figure out.
Well, let's spend some time with him.
I will. I haven't had that.
Sir, with all due respect, it's been over 2 weeks. I'm serious here. This is our livelihood. Have you been out there? Have you seen?
I have.
Well, let's fix the road. That's what we. Well, apparently not. Let's fix the road. The farmers and ranchers have offered, I know them personally, have offered to fix the road. I understand that you have rules, and I completely appreciate that. The farmers and ranchers and contractors and workers is who has built this country, not county government. We've offered, have asked, have been turned down, and the county is fixing a single resident gravel road instead of one of our main arterials. Not only one of our main, but the main arterial. So I would appreciate, you said that you would spend some time with the engineer to get some answers.
Leave your name, address, and phone number. I'll get back to you.
Absolutely, I would appreciate that. I don't mean to be upset, but this is our livelihood out here.
We realize that. But
and,
like I said, the public works engineer sits above us in that respect.
I recognize that, but you're the ultimate authority. You guys are the one that declared the emergency, and let's get Glade Road open. There's areas that one guy on a machine could make the road passable in about 4 hours. Up there, if you go up past Ringgold, that section, one man on a machine could make that road safe. Not completely fix it, but make it safe in a half a day. So appreciate your time, and I'll look forward to. I'll leave my name and number with you. Thank you.
Well, I'm Joel Prantle. I am that resident on Ione. Makes no sense.
Did you try calling me last week?
No.
Okay.
If you give me your numbers, would be great.
It's on the website. On Franklin County or cards down there.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
I thought I missed a phone call on the way back from Seattle.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't me.
Okay.
Well, being on Ione, where it started to wash out originally, and it cut over half of that road away, and they closed the road, but within 2 hours of daylight, they put it you could drive through it for local traffic. It's half washed out. But you closed Glade? What? None of this makes any sense. Not a single bit of it makes any sense. Why would you send someone out, even if you didn't do it like you said, why would we send them out to work on little gravel road on the side for one resident? Does this make any sense? Couldn't you put the vehicles over there to grade over there and put rock? They must have run 30 loads of rock on our road. It filled all the ones, all the way up Glade and down over Ringgold, and probably even filled the ones there at Ironwood. None of this makes any sense. Why? And to have where they spend the time to go out and put the closed road sign on Ione, and then within 2 hours after that, they spend the time to drive all the way back out to change it to where you could drive down it. This is not making any sense for local traffic only when the road's washed out. So someone's talking to someone and getting a hold of the county or a county commissioner, one of them, someone's speaking to someone to get a favor done. Why would you, I'm still going to have an explanation why you would work on Ione Road, my own road. The only one that lives on it is my family. So when it's all done, when you talk to the engineer and get all them answers, I think at the next meeting there should be answers, because that's what I expect as constituents on Ione. And we have made it such a mess for every single one of them other people out there going up Glade because they can't make it.
Well, again, like I say, leave your name and that phone number. Once I get a chance to speak with Public Works, I'll get back to both of you.
Yes, because to do this that long on a washout that was no more than 2 feet into the white line, and ours is over 3/4 of the road in 3 different places, and we make it local. That is crazy. Maybe one other thing. Who enforces county ordinances?
We got a code, supposed to be a code enforcement officer in planning.
Okay. Do you know who that is for Franklin County?
No, I'm not going to spit his last name out. It's Mike over, like I say, at planning office.
So who would actually enforce it out in the county when there's an ordinance issue?
This particular...
That specific one. So no sheriff can ever write a citation for a county ordinance, right?
Well, I guess I'm not following you then. But
okay, I'm going to explain. When there's county road restrictions up, and you can see that this was probably done by a favor, because on Ione, we have a bunch of spud sheds there. And we have, in the end, we got McHugh's and different ones. But they were running heavy trucks on the road drastically right when all the road restrictions were up. I call the sheriff and say, hey, look, who enforces these? Oh, we enforce them, but we will never, ever, ever write a ticket. That's what he tells me. And none of his sheriffs will ever write a ticket as well. He said they will never, ever do it, and he won't uphold that. So I want to know who would write a citation for them, or does the county even have scales to scale any truck to enforce the ordinance that we have in place that we pay for?
there again, I can't answer that.
So-
I know the sheriff, one of the sheriffs years ago used to carry scales. But this, what you're speaking of would not be in that planning and code inspector, it'd be the
So
sheriff's office.
maybe that's one more thing you might want to jot down is, does the county have scales to enforce the ordinance that's there? As well as when the sheriff says he'll never ever write it, so none of them will ever do it. So if there's only one person out there, but yet they're not there and I never see them, and you can't get a hold of them, you might want to get that information for us too. All these different things, because if we can never enforce it, we might as well take it off the books. We're paying for it, all of us. Every one of us paid for that. and it's not getting done.
Signs up.
Yeah, what's the reason to have the signs? If we pay to have everybody go out and turn the signs, put a flag, then no one's going to enforce it? None of this makes any sense. Not a thing. When the sheriff come talk to me personally, we are never, ever going to write a citation. That's exactly what he says. So we got a real problem with our you think? Or something's not doing their job. I told the sheriff, said, look, it's a problem. What happened? He said, well, it's not criminal. Not criminal. So when the road breaks up completely and then someone crashes and dies, who's at fault? Who's at fault? It's going to be someone that didn't write the citation to say, hey, we can't have that issue. I don't care if they lose it in court. If you make a good enough effort to force it on them, because if they all know that they don't have to worry about a load restriction, why would you worry about it? If you have no officer to write a ticket for speeding, do you think they're going to go under the speed limit? All these things don't make any sense to just put an ordinance out but no enforcement. Thank you.
Okay.
Got one more question. So is it the county engineer that decides the priority and decides the which road gets fixed when? Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, it doesn't come across this desk.
Okay, so
it's out of that office.
So it's out of the county. It's the county engineer that decides that.
Public Works office.
And so is there a public forum for, do we put pressure on you or do we go put pressure on him? And if we put pressure on him, is there a public forum to do that? Or is this something that we're probably wasting our time to go put pressure on?
Let me look into it a little bit and
get
back to you.
Okay. And so I don't know the background of you three gentlemen as far as engineering and doing that kind of stuff. The excuse that I've heard already is that the ground is soft is the reason you have to wait so much time. Just from having experience, that's baloney. So if you hear that, ask for a further explanation, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Baumann, I just to expand on that one comment, it's the county engineer doesn't just decide the sequence of roads you're going to fix. They also make decisions on which roads are going to close, where they put up barricades, what kind of barricades they put up, what sequence they put them up in. They look at a lot of variables that include average daily traffic, type and weight of vehicles. Is it an all-weather road? Is it a gravel road? Is it Alpha County? A lot of variables that go into that. So it's not just the county engineer doesn't just look at which roads are going to fix and which priority. The whole process of closing and securing roads for whatever reasons all come out of that office. And not trying to duck responsibility, I'll take whatever responsibility that there is on their behalf, because ultimately we're the elected officials. But that's in fact how the process works. As for the road conditions underneath the road bed, it was explained to me that federal highways and FEMA money can pay for up to 75% of our road repairs. But if, in their judgment, we have roads that we didn't adequately protect, we didn't close them down, we had reason to believe that the substrate might not be sound, and we run either passenger vehicles or especially trucks over them and we cause further damage, that's 100% on us. There's no reimbursement for that repair. And that may have been part of the sensitivity. I know they did go out and probe underneath that road. They found areas that were undermined and much softer than they expected, and they found other areas that were still good and solid. So I don't know if that's any help. But.
Sure, I recognize that. I appreciate it. I've done I think 5 emergency repairs where that there was a canal washed out or a road washed out. The one road, it was 11 feet that it had washed out, undermined. It was 200 feet wide, and the road, we put traffic back on it in 18 hours, and that road, I can take you to it today. It's still in fine repair. It's for it to take 2.5 weeks to repair Glade Road is absolutely ridiculous. And if you would like a resume on my experience and my qualifications to say that, I'd be happy to share that with you. It's ridiculous for the main artery in our county to be closed for 2.5 weeks. I don't care if the engineer is telling you that. We live in America, guys. We can do anything we set our minds to do. It don't take 2.5 weeks to repair less than 1/4 of a mile of 1/4 of a lane of roadway. let's get our roadways fixed. You guys went through the process. You put the effort into declaring a state of emergency to loosen the process so that we could make this happen. Let's make it happen now. To go through the effort and then not make it happen seems, quite frankly, a waste of your time and ridiculous for the county to have to go through that process. Let's get our roads fixed. Thank you.
Steve, are you on the small works roster?
I am not. I've inquired, and they said they have plenty of people on it, so I don't want to go. I'm busy. I got work to do.
Okay, I was just curious if...
Yeah, I am not at this point. If they need help, I'd be more than happy to help. They've stated that they don't need any additional help.
Thanks.
Maybe one more thing is maybe we could have if you could give me the audio of last week's meeting. I guess that's a public record that we could ask for. And my name's on there, so you may just jot down for that. All right, thank you.
Any further? Seeing none, we'll move on into the office business, approval of vouchers.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we've got two sets of vouchers today. The first is fund expenditures. Total amount of $87,228.43. It's run through the normal course, been signed off by the auditor's office. With that, move for approval as presented.
Second voucher.
All in favor?
Aye. Second is warrants for county roads and motor vehicle in total amount of $130,518.68, and it also has gone through the appropriate channels and has the auditor staff signatures affixed. Move for approval.
I will second the motion for the voucher approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Brings us to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, 6 items on the consent agenda today. Move for approval as presented, no questions.
I will second the approval for the consent agenda 1 through 6.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
sign these. Keith, what do you have for us this morning?
Mr. Chairman, first item, we have a vacancy on the Franklin County Housing Authority Board. We received a letter from the chairman of that board asking us to reappoint Mr. Lester Domingos. We had one other applicant for the vacancy. Mr. Domingos has been serving on the board and apparently doing fine work. They have requested that we reappoint him. And so I just need to get authorization from the board to begin the process of approving his appointment. I want to make sure you didn't have any objection to that.
Thoughts or questions, gentlemen?
No, I have none.
Do we have any other applicants?
We did have one other applicant, a gentleman who not currently serving on boards and commissions, but has stepped forward with a volunteer spirit to serve. We are requesting him perhaps for a vacancy that is coming on the Board of Equalization. There's a couple of other boards that he may be willing to serve on. So we'll be in contact with him to see if he'd be willing to dedicate some time to one of these other community functions.
Okay. So your recommendation is that the board move forward with Mr. Domingos?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, no other questions?
I can support that.
We'll get a formal paperwork,
Yeah.
I presume.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
The next item, Franklin County continues to support the Ben Franklin Fair through the rental of a booth at the fairgrounds during the fair. We have historically, as I understand it, allowed Franklin County Solid Waste to occupy most of that space during the fair and distribute their material, engage with the public on solid waste issues. They have requested confirmation that we will continue to allow that this year fair, and so I just need to reaffirm that that's the desire of the board and communicate that back to them.
I think that works very well.
You said they are requesting the Public Works or the Fair Board? The Fair?
This came from Sally.
Okay, all right. So it's
Yeah.
Public Works Department asking if they can
Yeah.
continue to use the county's booth for,
Correct.
as they have in the past. I think it begs the question of, we help sponsor the fair, and there is no other Franklin County presence there other than the solid waste recycle booth, which has more of a environmental feel to it than it does Franklin County per se. If we were to do a Franklin County booth, it would incur a significant amount of effort and cost, labor, and I'm told that historically, for a number of years, we had a Franklin County booth, and then as interest in volunteers sort of faded away, this was the solution that allowed us to make good use of that booth. So I don't know that anything has changed, and I'm not really excited about spending money or asking employees to go work extra time to run a county fair booth, but I thought I'd just share that history since this is the first time that
We
we've
have
gone
the
through
V
it.
board and S board both have booths over there.
Yeah. I guess the only consideration I think we ought to maybe think about is at least having something in the way of a minor display in that booth that reflects Franklin County as a whole and not just the recycling aspect. And
I believe that was a condition that we made at least last year, was that Franklin County would have an opportunity to have a display or hand out materials. Certainly commissioners or anyone else who wants to spend time in the booth, a good opportunity to engage the public. Yeah, that's a kind of a condition of allowing solid waste to do that, is sharing that space with us.
And Sally has been good about getting grant monies over the years to actually fund a lot of those activities, so
Right.
it's good.
I'm happy with just continuing as is.
Then the other, I do have a need for an executive session to discuss with legal counsel matters related to litigation, potential litigation, under RCW 42.30.110, paragraph 1, subparagraph I. I would like to allow up to 20 minutes for that executive session and ask that Prosecuting Attorney Sean Sant, Tim Dickerson from the prosecutor's office. Is Jen going to be joining us as well? And Jen Johnson from the prosecutor's office to be able to remain for that executive session.
How much time do you think?
Up to 20.
Is up to 20 minutes sufficient, gentlemen? Okay. Yeah, we may not be quite that much time, but I hope we can.
Private place reserved to come out early.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a judge. That's a court commission.
That's a different kind of commissioner. You got the right guy here to help you. That's good.
They have a show cover, ex parte copy, that's at 8:30 in the morning, so usually you want to call them. So they might not be able to help you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Similar but different.
Wait. You should sign off and just say permission. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Jen, I don't know that you and I have met.
I'm gonna come around. Jen Johnson, and it Tim's.
Seems like I met you somewhere. I'm trying to think.
I've been around.
Yeah.
Just a rep.
The hall.
Yeah.
And then I work on the transition over the next few weeks. Ask for your patience.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Well, that brings us to the end of our agenda then. Keith, you have anything else? Commissioners? I'm going to be over at CTAC again for the Risk Schools Board of Directors week tomorrow after our board meeting, or after our PAC meeting.
Okay. I may, as I've said in past meetings, may need to head over to Olympia depending on how various bills move in the House, but so far there hasn't been a need to go, and so I'm trying not to go unless there really is a need. So
Next week I'll be going over for LSC. And the following week I'll be heading for Lane Conference. So other than that, if there's nothing else for the good of the board, we are adjourned.
Additional business,
I'm
but
sorry.
I did do an interview with KNDU out on the roads yesterday to kind of get an update and more of a technical discussion of what some of our road crews are faced with. I have not actually seen it, but I've heard it aired, so.
I just saw about a 1 minute clip this morning on KNDU, but let's look for it.
yeah, I'm aware that Public Works has used the authority. I don't know if it's the existing authority or authority under the emergency declaration, but they've hired some engineering support from local firms. I'm not aware if they've hired any equipment or operators. Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, certainly seems that that's something they ought to be considering if it accelerates the process of getting roads repaired. My understanding from the beginning that they would not only be using that declaration to get engineering support, but also to actually get equipment and people to speed up repairs. So if they're not doing that, I will say again, I think they should be.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we are adjourned.